Lane assignments for the Men's Collegiate Invitational Grand Final, the Copley Cup, the premier event of the San Diego Classic, this being the 41st year. In Lane 1, Stanford University. Lane 2, University of California. Lane 3, Northeastern University. Lane 4, Syracuse University. Lane 5, George Washington University. Lane 6, University of British Columbia. All 6 crews have backed into the stake boats. Things have calmed down quite a bit. Very little sculling to keep those bows pointed towards the number 1 lane's side of the channel. This race we have George Washington University mic'd up. You'll be hearing their coxswain as we race down the course. All 8 of the oarsmen trying to center themselves as they control their heart rate. Relaxing, getting ready for a very explosive start. Once again, they go from being at a dead stop, take some fraction strokes, usually something like 3/4 of the slide, 3/4, half, 3/4, 3/4 full, and then 20 to 25 upstrokes at a high cadence, usually in the high 40s. The coxswain will call for the shift. At that point, the stroke will lower the cadence to a prescribed race pace, maximizing each stroke in terms of run per stroke. By the 250-meter mark, coxswains will look around and start calling for moves, depending upon where they sit with the competitors. Very little sculling going on, so I expect we'll have a start here momentarily. The aligner's flag is up, which means the bows are in line. It's a question of the starter pulling the crews and then saying attention, go. Okay, the flag is up, and we have a start. The Men's Collegiate Invitational Grand Final, the Copley Cup. What you're seeing now is controlled abandon as these crews leap out of the starting blocks. It's Stanford University on the lead with California right with them. Very close, all 6 crews. Syracuse is in it, Northeastern. Wow, this is sensational racing. Right now it's Northeastern and California, Stanford, and George Washington University. 250 meters gone. The University of British Columbia just a touch off the pace. California now pushes their bow to the lead position. California rowing in lane 2, 2-seat advantage over Stanford. And then it's Northeastern in the 3rd position, followed by George Washington University, Syracuse University, and University of British Columbia. When the Golden Bears made that shift, they really moved the boat out. In front now by 5 seats, make it 6 seats as the crews approach the 500-meter mark. Your race leader in lane 2, California, followed by Stanford. 3rd position, Northeastern University. Then it's George Washington University, Syracuse University, and University of British Columbia. Cal really leveraging that boat forward as the coxswain looks over at the bow of the Stanford boat. Crews now approach the 750-meter mark, and it's California, almost open water now over Stanford. Stanford has a 4-seat advantage over Northeastern. Northeastern with a 6-seat advantage over George Washington University. Then back in that 5th position is Syracuse, and in 6th, University of British Columbia. Golden Bears going to the afterburner now, has open water on the field. Stanford maintaining that 2nd position over Northeastern by a half a boat. And then Northeastern leads George Washington University by 8 seats. That 5th spot is owned by Syracuse University. University of British Columbia now pushing back on the Orangemen from Syracuse. But it's California, your race leader, now by a half a boat of open water as we pass by the 1,000-meter mark. Northeastern now challenging Stanford for that 2nd position. And it's Northeastern, Stanford for that 2nd, 3rd position. Then it's George Washington University, Syracuse, University of British Columbia. California maintains a high stroke rating as we approach the 1,250-meter mark. California rowing at 36.5 strokes per minute with a 1 boat length open water advantage over Northeastern, who has a 4-seat advantage over Stanford. Then it's open water back to George Washington University for that 4th position, followed by Syracuse, and then it's University of British Columbia. Northeastern closing the gap a bit, but still open water astern. It's California, your race leader.
If you wanted to look at it very technically, California did not get a particularly good start. Northeastern and Stanford both beat them to the count. However, California in the first 500 meters certainly inserted themselves in the lead with a strong performance. Lane assignment, Stanford in 1, Cal in 2, they're our leader. Northeastern in 3, Syracuse in lane 4, George Washington in lane 5, and the University of British Columbia is in lane number 6.
Well, it's not how you start, it's how you stride down the base, and I think that's where the California Bears really got it. They hit their stride, and they're not looking back. And you know, they're not wasting any opportunity to test their speed. They're looking for June, they're looking for their IRA, and they are really working on their base crushing speed.
Well, whatever they're working on, it's working right now because they have open water over Northeastern, which has taken the measure of Stanford. The back of the pack, George Washington, Syracuse, and UBC have closed down a little bit, but certainly not enough to be able to take care of this Golden Bear crew that is having their way in the 2014 San Diego Crew Classic Copley Cup. This is California. Open water back to Northeastern. Open water back to Stanford. And then on the outside, UBC has moved up on George Washington and Syracuse. California comfortably in the lead. Boat length of open water. Northeastern in 2nd spot. Comfortable lead. Boat length of open water. Boat length of open water to Stanford. Then University of British Columbia, George Washington, and Syracuse. Syracuse on the move just a bit to try to get into that 4th position, but it is California, not quite wire to wire, but in the middle, they took over. Northeastern, the 2nd place, apparently the 2nd place boat, Stanford in 3rd. It looks like UBC may be hanging on for that 4th position. George Washington 5 and Syracuse in 6. Once again, congratulations to the apparent yet unofficial winner of the 2014 Copley Cup on Mission Bay in San Diego, the University of California.
And Cal is right now ranked number 2 behind Harvard. And you know, rankings are rankings. if you're making the top 3 in rankings, you know you have a shot at the IRA final. So we may have just seen what may be to come at the last race